So I bought these sheets because I needed like sound deadening, and then I couldn't, and then I didn't use them. And I had these other white sheets that I fairly regularly use as like the backdrop, and I was like, why is the camera being so? It's because there's a window directly behind this, and these block the light from the window, which means that the camera can actually like do its job correctly because it's a lot more neutral light environment. And I'm like, oh, and then these aren't as dark as I think they are. These are like reasonably light coloured, so light can still bounce, just not super heavily, which is great. Um, I'm thrilled, genuinely. Anyway, I have over the last couple of years been working on a project that has recently turned into a functional project, sort of, as in it's functioning, not that it's useful. Which is, I'm now working on a thing I am calling What's Eating Alex, or What's Eating Alex, or maybe a different name. I don't know. I know that's generally the vibe for the title I want to go with. And I am really excited to be making it. It's like one of the first just purely creative, non-functional project. A lot of my projects are sort of non-functional, but they're still like the Pip Boys, which are like my other big project, are aren't useful, but they are technically functional. Anyway, so to explain the general beats of What's Eating Alex, it is a partially mundane horror anthology animated series that each episode is going to be between, like, I'm aiming for about 4 to 5 minutes, but if they go shorter or longer, I don't care. And the specific design intention with them is that perfect is the enemy of done. I am not going for perfect. I am not even aiming for good. I am aiming for the things I care about, and then also having the indicator that I've done something. Because when I look back, sorry, it's really into which is when I look back on my life at the moment, I also always think, oh yeah, I've done a bunch of stuff, but I can never really recall what any of that stuff is. I'm like, oh, I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this, but it was like, but I sort of did some Pit Boys, but I can't remember how many I did, and then I did some illustration, but I can't really remember why I did any of them or what they were. This is trying to get back onto the train of, I did this thing, which was this with this for this reason, and then this, and then that led into this, and then I also did this thing, and then this thing, and then this thing. And that's kind of the point of this project, is just to go, here's a thing that I've done, and then I can progress from there. But it's still more about me going through the process of like learning and practicing and doing stuff and having fun, rather than about the end product. The end product is essentially just there as a marker. So, What's Eating Alex is a series of partially animated horror stories that I have written and created myself. And I don't want these to be good. They are meant to be relatively quick and easy to produce, although more of a I can work on them at my own speed, and it's never going to be like insurmountable. It's meant to be, okay, cool, it's this bit and then this bit and then this bit, and then I just have to keep like grinding at it and like going piece after piece, and nothing has to be perfect. If I get halfway through the project and I go, oh, you know what, I don't want to work on this anymore, I can just go, I've got the storyboards done, I've got like half the animation done, so I'm just going to edit it all together, put the storyboards where I haven't done animation, and then we are good. That's it. That's what's going on. I'm aware this is very all over the place, but that's fine. I'm really having to remind myself, don't stop recording to like go back and like re-record, because it doesn't matter if I'm like repeating myself. It doesn't matter. It matters that I record it, and then I upload it. So, the first episode which is the one I'm currently working on. The script has been written, the recording's been done, but it will probably get redone. And the storyboard is about 90% finished, and there are some like test animations just to see what I want certain things within it to look like. It is it's called the Octopus Zoetrope, and it is a sort of short animated story about, it's a short, I'm just going to write a short story. It's a short story just explaining the existence of an object within a collection of objects, and it's not overly clever. It's not like that interesting as a thing, but it is. I'm not gonna try and sell this to you. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, it's gonna be the next big thing, or it's like great. It's like no. It's like I think it's interesting because I'm a person who's really interested in the stories of things. I'm interested in like how things became things. I don't like I like stories. I'm not a big fan of narrative. I would rather I prefer the story of how it's made, the TV show, like how it's made and that kind of thing, to say EastEnders. Right? If EastEnders is narrative, how it's made is the story of a thing. And that's sort of where I'm going for. This is the story of things rather than the story of the people. But then it turned out that the early drafts for this whole project, the objects of stories aren't that interesting to animate. And so you sort of need something else. So I started adding the element of what's eating Alex as an overarching element. So I don't really want to spoil it because I do quite like the idea of being able to go, yeah, here's, if you are interested, here's the overarching. But there is going to be a sort of connecting theme. But these are going to be disparate. Like, the stories are... I don't know if I'm going to do this, and I have to get past the first one before it even matters. Because I know the first 3 stories that I've got, like, scripts written for, so the Octopus Zoetrope and then the other 2 that I'm still not 100% sure on, are all set within the same, like, time frame sort of a thing. So they are part of a series called The Collection. So in the show is referencing, so like my reference document is referencing it as Era Collection, which is basically saying these are all short stories from the time period where this person that we are following was working, or we are following, I suppose not the person, that we are following the story of what happened at this collection of objects within this structure, within this like place. And the reason for this is because there was also then other from the previous project, which I should talk about in a second, sort of jumped all over the place. So there was also following like other people. So it was like Era Collection, which is the one the Octopus Zoetrope is set in, and then there was Era, I think just called like one of them was Postal, and the point of that was it was a similar idea, but it was a Royal Mail basically having a part of their department which basically went, this mail is just in the system moving around, but it wasn't sent by anyone to anyone, it just exists. And some of that exists because of errors of like labels falling off. There is like a very mundane reason that the entire department sorting this out exists to begin with. But then there is the other side of it, which is that when you've got a system that large, sometimes things just spontaneously exist, or things will show up anachronistically. So the short story that exists for that is one short story that exists from someone sending letters during World War II back home, and then the wife sending letters about like 40 years later as an old woman, like not raising kids anymore, like sending these, and these letters were never posted, but she wrote them, and when she like they somehow wound her. That wasn't a particularly strong story, if I'm being honest, because one, I don't write people particularly well. I don't write anything particularly well, but I really don't write people particularly well. But I also don't. That wasn't working particularly well because I was trying to like wrench horror into there without really having a need, and then there were some like weird other elements, and I was like, I don't need any of these there. But it means that it's like these are sort of different parts. So instead of it being like season 1, season 2, season 3, it would just be like era 1, era 2. Like it'll be eras of like different things, but they'll sort of be like, I might do 3 episodes of era collection, and then like an episode of era postal, and then I don't know, era lost at sea or something. Just to go, no, these are a connecting element, but then I can go back and forth on them just as like whatever I want to write. Once again, not massively important if I don't produce more than one of these, and I might not. I might get to the end of this and go, I don't want to make any more of these, or I might go, I want to shift this up entirely. I want these to be like a minute long. I want them to be just like a drawing of the object and then a voiceover, or I want these to be purely animation done in like silence or with some stock music over the top of it. They're experimental. That's where I'm at. I'm not going to show off any of it at the moment, just because I don't think there's a reason to like show off any of what I've got at the moment. I haven't set myself a deadline for when to complete it by. And I don't think I will set a deadline, because I don't think that's going to help. I think I'll just sort of like... Problem is, if I don't meet the deadline, I'll give up and go, well, I didn't meet the deadline. Out the window. And also, if I just decide I want to fully change the project... just the sort of general thing I found really useful in like doing projects, which is setting the big goal, setting the big finish goal, and then setting the smaller finish goals. Which is to say, if your project is a failure, if you only hit the start and then you don't hit the finish point, and your project's a failure, you're really setting yourself up for failure if you don't have a really good reason to finish the project. One of the things I find really useful is to set smaller finish points where you can go, cool, this wasn't everything I wanted, but it's something that is technically done. Of going, cool. So with like the Pip Boys, just having like an aesthetic object that I could wear on my wrist. That was one of the very earliest goals. I think one of the earliest goals was just having a hinge that could work and go around my wrist. And then it was like, cool, what was the latter goal? Be able to fit the Raspberry Pi in there with a screen. And that would be finished, because then I could just like run the Raspberry Pi operating system on that and I'd be happy. And then it was, can I get this to like function somewhat like a Pip-Boy? Can I get like the the controls going? Can I get this to sort of blah, blah, blah. And then there was an overall, like, here's the end point. But then even the actual finished end point was still, can I keep adding stuff onto it if I want to? it was giving myself those early outs that was really important. That was like, no, this isn't me giving up. This is me having, set myself up for success by saying that simplifying the outcome is fine. Like not having some horribly complicated thing. So my actual end goal, like my very first end goal for this project, has sort of already been met, as in it's like about 5 minutes of work away from being complete, which was write the script, have a recording, and then have images over it. And it only had to be like 5 or 6 images over the top, and I could call it done. It wouldn't even be good images. And then my next like proper out is to have the storyboards done and basically just crop each storyboard and then have that as different images over the top of the recording. And so it's okay. And then from there, every time an animated section gets done, that's a new out. That's like a new, cool, I've got the storyboard complete. I've got that in a file. I put the new animated section in over the top of the storyboard, and then I move on to the next one, or I say, cool, I'm done now, I want this finished, and I just upload what's there. That is how I am planning to do this project. And I suspect very strongly that I am not going to get to the end of this. Because, like, doing the storyboarding, there's a couple of elements where I'm like, I don't know how to do this on my own. Like, I don't know how to do this just, like, with me. Like, my skill set isn't there. There's some animated elements where I'm like, I don't know if being the human person, like, if, like, drawing people is something I necessarily want to do, but I don't think a more cartoony character would work for the aesthetic. So, I don't know, maybe I'll find, like, a stock photo of someone standing at a table and I'll animate over it, who knows. But yeah, that's where this is at.